Hey, what's up, y'all? Billy from Perma Pastures farm. Well, as you can see, I'm not at the farm. I'm out actually taking a walk. I don't do this stuff very often, but I'm making myself get out of my comfort zone and do things and go to places, even if they're nearby, places I've never been. You know, like Mark Twain said, you can't get a charitable view of the world around you when you vegetate in your own spot your whole life. So I make myself from time to time get out and do different things. Well, as I'm out here walking, like anybody else who takes a walk, you think about things. And particularly what I'm thinking about right now is a video that went up on Instagram. What I intended to be a unifying video wound up being a divisive one. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but more shockingly, it came from people on the right. And let me just tell you how this all began. I was reading Joel Salatin's book, and in this book, he makes the case that all of us should seek information from people that we don't necessarily agree with. That you should read their books, you should watch their movies, maybe not watch their movies, but basically, if for no other reason, you should be looking at the way other people that you vehemently disagree with, just to find out maybe there's some holes in your own argument. Maybe they make some good points. So when I read that in his book, it made me think about preparedness in terms of how it's done by people I know on the left versus those I know on the right. And I made the case that from my experience, and I'm casting a lot of generalities here, but you'll get the point, is that by and large, the people I know on the left, although they're totally missing the boat, many of them, in terms of defense, self-defense, and things of that nature, at least they know how to grow their food. At least there's an emphasis on that. Whereas people I know on the right, they have their beans and their bullets, but they have no resupply. That's basically it. That was the point I made. Well, the point I actually tried to make is that maybe we should all cross-pollinate, myself included, with the people we disagree with, or you think you might disagree with, because there's a lot of value in examining it. Especially, the holes I identify in my own game when I try to look at it from other people's perspective. Like I said, I would not have expected the vitriol that came from so many people on the right. Let me give a historical example of what I'm getting at, okay? So let's talk about 70 AD. What happened then? Many of you are probably going to know. Well, Rome rolled into Jerusalem, totally destroyed it, just like Jesus said they would. And then, 3 years later, 73 AD, you had a group of, let's say, zealots, according to Flavius Josephus, did him out on over to Masada. It was basically what many thought, and even today it looks impressive, an impenetrable fortress that had all the beans and bullets you could ever ask for, right there in Masada. Romans laid siege. I think they sent their 10th Legion over there, of course, all their auxiliaries. They laid siege to it. Finally, they laid siege long enough to where the people inside of Masada ultimately committed suicide, according to Josephus, and a number of his other contemporaries as well. Well, you might be thinking, okay, well, that's ancient history. What is it, like in the 4th century? There was a Greek king by the name of Pyrrhus, putting a whooping on Rome like nobody's business. Won all the battles, but he was quoted as saying that if we keep on winning these battles, we're going to have to give up this war. We're going to lose the war. In fact, that's where the term Pyrrhic victory came from. Pyrrhus, an astonishing general. But his resupply lines, the Romans were replacing troops faster than he could kill them. And of course, they were inflicting damage on him as well. Okay, you might say, okay, that's ancient history too. Go to the American Civil War. I think I can make a pretty convincing case that nearly every battle in the Civil War, no, I can't make that case. I was going to say something I couldn't defend. But at least Gettysburg, Vicksburg, Atlanta were battles that were won or lost on the basis of resupply, logistics. Remember, amateurs talk about tactics. Tacticians talk about logistics. You dig? Some of you might be thinking, well, that's far off too. Well, off the top of my head, what can I think right now? Oh, how about Operation Barbarossa, where Hitler sent, what was it, his 6th Army? I can't remember which one. I want to say the 6th Army over into Russia. And he did it at the worst time possible. They got bogged down in the middle of winter in Russia. Tanks were stuck, artillery pieces. But worst part is they went over there. They didn't even have winter clothes. And they had no means to get them winter clothes. Well, what happened? Russians, thanks to our support, of course, we supplied them, defeated them. Not without inflicting, to a certain extent, a Pyrrhic victory to themselves. That's more complicated than I'm willing to get into. Battle of the Bulge. It came down, that battle literally came down to who could get resupplied before the other. Whether it was the 101st Airborne, and then, of course, General Patton came to the rescue. And then on the Nazi side, you know, they were rushing to get their supplies in there too. They were running out of fuel. Heavy casualties on both sides. And interestingly enough, in both battles, whether it was the Battle of the Bulge or the one in Stalingrad, it was so nasty and cold, and neither side was really prepared for that cold, that if you fell asleep, you woke up dead. Little side note. Think about D-Day. Even Eisenhower, in numerous occasions, and is quoted in numerous books, that it was won on the basis of logistics. Extraordinary. Okay, some might even say that's ancient history as well. How about the Battle of Dien Bien Phu? I think it was 1954. French were over there. They had this fortress over there. Vietnamese laid siege. What happened? French had to Diddy Mao up out of there, right? Right there in the history books. 1968, Marines were bogged down in Khe Sanh. The only resupply they had was from the sky, but the weather was so bad they couldn't even get it in. Logistics. History's pages are full, and I'm just giving you stuff just off the top of my head that I can cite. But I still can't get over the level of contention, particularly by the people on the right, when I say, hey, look at these folks on the left. Can you learn something from them? Because I think just based on the examples I gave, you probably could. And people on the left, you're not out of the woods either, because I'm saying you could also learn from the people on the right. Strangely enough, the people on the left in Instagram were actually saying, hey, yeah, you know, I kind of get the point. So once again, I tried to spell this out and give you historical examples just off the top of my head that should make an unimpeachable case as to why all of us need resupply. I mean, to me, it seems self-evident. I just don't understand the contention. But I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because I'm clearly out here in a walk. But let me just kind of point this out, given the times that we're in. You have people like even Dan Bongino, not exactly known to be a prepper, okay? Not saying that he isn't, but I'm saying that isn't his shtick. But he has even been pleading with his audience as of late that you need to get prepared. The times that we are in right now are unprecedented, at least in our American experience. Well, I dare say the world. I mean, nobody's ever seen anything like this status quo. So I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm going to re-emphasize this message. Hopefully I've spelled it out in such a way that makes I hope it makes sense. Because really, this message should be a unifying message. There shouldn't be any point of contention, especially after providing the historical examples I just did. Anyway, y'all, if you need anything from us, bone sauce, comfrey, you know, anything we have, just check us out down below or go to the website. Till next time, this is Billy, not at Perma Pastures Farm, where I'm reminding you, stay alert, stay alive. We'll see you next time.